Hello everyone, welcome to Business Math, which is out of the Practical Math Applications 3rd edition book of Burton and Shelton. I am on Chapter 9, Review Exercise. In my book it's on page 316. Today we're going to be talking over, with this lesson, we're going to be talking about the cost, the selling price, the markup, and the markup rate. And this is something that we're already familiar with. We may not have put these labels to it, but it is something that um, we're used to having happen. Well, let's just pretend in learning about this that we own a store. Do you ever want to own a store? Um, well, now you do. And in the store, let's say you're selling rings, because I think those would be fairly easy to draw. And each of the rings that you get in will cost you a certain amount. And then you'll have to turn around and sell those rings, preferably at a higher price, so that you can make money. The price that you buy them is called your cost. That's your cost to you. So let's just say that each ring cost you $100. And then when you sell the ring to a customer that comes in, that is called the selling price. Okay? And that price would be higher. Let's say that you chose to sell it at $250. So that every time you sold it, you would make money. Every time you sold a ring, you would make money because you buy them for $100, you sell them for $250. That means that every time you sell a ring, you make $150. And that $150 is the amount of your markup. So that's just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about in the first part. One of the things that you'll want to always remember, and it's really easy when you consider it this way, is that your cost should always be greater than your selling price, because if it's not, then you're going to lose money. If you pay more for it than you sell it for, then every time you would sell it, you would lose money. So the cost will always be greater than the selling price. And the difference in the cost and the selling price is your amount that you earn, and that's going to be known as your markup. So the amount that you earn, your profit, is your markup amount. Okay, let's take a look. From knowing those things, we can figure out that I would take my cost take my selling price, subtract my cost out of it, and that would give me my markup amount. Makes sense? That's exactly what we did right here. We started with our cost, we determined our selling price. When I get the difference in those by subtracting my cost out of my selling price, it gives me my markup amount. I can also take my cost, add my markup amount to it, and it's going to equal my selling price. And then the last formula that comes out of this same theory is that I can take my selling price, I can take my selling price, subtract my markup amount, and that's going to give me my cost. So as long as I have two of these figures, then I can solve for the other. it just makes sense that if you add your markup price to your cost to get your selling price, as long as I have two of these figures, I can find out the other. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the problems. Number one, it tells me that I don't know what my cost is and that my selling price is $52.98 and my markup amount is $15. Normally we're used to starting with our cost, right? But we don't have our cost. But we do know that once we had our cost, we would add that $15 to it, and that's going to equal our selling price. Really, all we have to do is take our selling price, subtract my markup amount. There's an eraser. There you go. Subtract my markup amount, and it's going to give me my cost. Did I accidentally press something there? Maybe. It's going to give me my cost. So if my selling price is $52.98, that's how much I'm selling it for. If I subtract out how much I make each time I sell it, then that's going to tell me how much I make or how much I actually have to pay for each one. So $52.98, subtract out my $15, and that tells me that I have to pay $37.98 for each one. Now I can do that in the reverse. I can put that in here and check it by saying, okay, if I purchased it for $37.98 and I added $15 to it for my markup, I should get right back to my selling price, and I do. Okay, let's do number 2. Number 2 tells me that I had to pay $112.10 for my item. I don't know how much I'm going to sell it for, but I do know that I want to make $38.90 every time I sell it. So let's say I've got my ring and it costs me $112.10. I want to make $38.90 every time I sell it. How much am I going to have to sell it for? Well, I'm going to have to sell it for my cost plus my markup. 112.10 plus 38.90, which is $151 even. So $151. If it costs me $112.10 and I make $38.90 every time I sell it, that means that I want to sell it for $151, which includes my cost plus my markup. Okay, and then the last one with part A says that I have a cost equals $38 and my selling price is $45, and they want to know what is my markup amount or how much money I make each time I sell it. Well, if the item costs me $38 and I'm selling it for $45, that means every time I sell it, I'm making $7, or 45 minus 38 equals 7. So every time I sell that item, I'll make $7 because I only had to pay $38 for it and I'm selling it for $45. So in essence, with this part A, the formulas that we were able to pull out of it were actually, it's one formula, which pretty much means we take the cost, we add our markup, and that equals our selling price. Now that can look three different ways because we can look at it as if we're solving for our selling price, if we're solving for our markup, or if we're solving for our cost. If I'm solving for my markup, that means I'm given my selling price and my cost. And all I would have to do is take my selling price, pull my cost out of it, and that would give me my markup. If I'm solving for my cost, all I would have to do is take my selling price, pull my markup out of it, and that leaves me with the cost. Okay, now we'll be ready for part B.